But obviously, we're going to get started by going back to this past Friday night. Here we go. This is our play of the week. So talk to us about what we're seeing here. Walk us through it. The Rattlers punt to the Hornets down 16-13. But obviously, we're going to get started by going back to this past Friday night. Here we go. This is our play of the week. So talk to us about what we're seeing here. Walk us through it. The Rattlers punt to the Hornets down 16-13. Welcome in, everyone, to Rattler Up with Coach Walsh. We are live from the Rattler broadcast studio on the campus of San Marcos High School. This is where you got to be every Monday night to catch up with all the things going on in Rattler Nation. I'm your host, CJ Odam. With me, as always, is athletic director and head football coach, Coach John Walsh. Coach, we joked off air. This is season 3. It started with, CJ, I have an idea. And here we are. How are we thinking about that?
Yeah, we had a vision of something like this going on to promote our programs, and I just couldn't find the person I couldn't produce it, and I couldn't lead it. I can just be color commentary. So I was looking and went to a basketball game and heard you do introductions, and I said, that's the guy I need.
Well, we've been excited to be a part of it with you, Coach. We got our student producers in the booth. We're at the Rattler Broadcast Studio, one of the best programs we have to offer on the campus. So the combination of our arts and our CTE and our athletics is just another example of that going on here. We're excited about it. Well, this week on Rattler Up, we're going to look at what's already taken place so far 2 weeks into the Rattler varsity football season. We're going to preview Meet the Rattler night here this Wednesday, tomorrow night, and we'll preview the season upcoming for Rattler football. Now, Coach, school's only been going on for 3 weeks, but athletes have been getting ready for a month and a half at this point, right? Talk to us a little bit about those summer preparations. You know, school started 3 weeks ago, but these athletes have been going at it.
Yeah, times have changed. You know, from when I'm a lot older than you are, but there was some time off, and then you got going again, kind of like you said, 3 weeks. But athletics in Texas has turned into all year. I mean, it's nonstop. It changes. It has phases, and our summer program is definitely one of those. And participation was great. I mean, there was. They may have gone to the river, they may have gone on vacation, but they were with us most of the time, so it was a good summer.
That's awesome. And, you know, we talked about it before. We've talked about the impact of a Friday Night Lights event. Over 500 students on average it takes to put on a Friday Night Lights event. And every one of them were working this summer too. The ROTC, the Diamond Line, the band, the cheerleaders. I mean, none of them started first day of school. By the first day of school, they were worn out from the work they'd put in.
Yeah, and we have great facilities. We have several turf fields, 3 gyms, an indoor. And it seems like between all the athletic programs and Diamond Line and cheer and band, we're not fighting over it. We're just being real smart how we share it, because there's a lot of kids that need to get work.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. It's been cool to come up here when everybody's gone that first part of June, but then they start filing back in,
right.
And there's never an empty day. There is something going on almost every single day here on the 80 acres. So we're going to talk some varsity football later on in the show, Coach, but let's turn our attention to the other sports that are in session right now and get a check on how things have been going across Rattler Nation this year. And let's start with volleyball. Those girls also have been putting their summertime in, and Coach, they're 25 games into the season, which is incredible. They're sitting at 13-12. Great start to the season. They have been active in pre-district tournament play with wins over Pflugerville, Cypress Creek, A&M Consolidated, Bryan, Manor, and Bastrop, just to name a few. Again, 25 games played in a month, Coach. I want to ask you, what is that importance of having that primarily tournament portion of the season early on for a volleyball team?
Well, being a volleyball dad as of the last decade, you know, it's a skill sport. And looking at Megan's program right now, there's so many juniors and sophomores that are starting and are counted on, that you've got to get that skill set in live time. And the only way you do that is play 25 games in a 6-week period. So she's scheduled right. Got to go watch them play. Unfortunately, we're dealing with some injuries with really some key players. So in the end, it's gonna be a good thing for us, because we're having to play some kids that were going to be role players have had to start. So I think by the time we get them all back, especially Pactinac, you know, when your quarterback and your center's out,
right.
I mean your setter's out, it makes it tough. But we got a young setter from Miller that's been doing a great job, and just building depth. And they'll be ready to make a playoff run come district.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Coach. I'm sure that you don't want an injury. You obviously don't want to plan for an injury, but the side benefit of that is in the pre-district part of your schedule, you get those players that can step up. And then if those girls develop, and then Grace and Brinkley are firing on all cylinders when they return, things are looking great for a team from district ball club.
As long as it's not season-ending injury, you can get a lot of positive at it, and that's build depth.
Well, the girls are getting ready, actually, as we speak, to take on Veterans Memorial tonight down in San Antonio. From there, they have 2 more non-district games before they start district play on Friday night, the 22nd, in Schertz, as they take on the Clemens Buffaloes. So, Coach, what's the plan like in the final 2 games of the non-district season as far as player safety, what they focus on? What's Coach's plan kind of for those final 2 non-district games to be ready to go against Clemens?
I think it's just build momentum, however you need to, whether it's getting a win, or whether it's executing better. You know, you want to roll into district, obviously better than you started, and you didn't do your job if you didn't, but just to build some momentum. And momentum's hard to define, but as a coach, you can feel it. As a player, you can feel it, and you want to have that feeling going into district.
All right, well, another team that is literally off and running well is our cross-country team, and they are now led by a new head coach, Dylan Jones, so an established program, been here for a long time, and Coach Jones has also been with the district a number of years, been a part of that program, and he takes the reins now, and we're excited to have him on. We're going to have him on Rattler Up here real soon, but Coach, tell us a little bit about what we need to know about Coach Jones and that cross-country team.
Well, cross-country's been successful since I've gotten here in the last 3 years, and participation's there. They're the first kids up in the morning working when you show up. They're running the streets, running the neighborhoods. And Coach Morris did a great job when he was here. But Coach Jones was always there, always a part of the programs. He started all the elementaries running, was key at Miller, cross country, and their numbers were great. So any good athletic program, when a head coach leaves, you hope to find that person within. And there was no question. I think everybody in the district knew who the head coach was going to be.
We knew where it was
I mean, everybody knew it was going to be him, and he's done a great job so far. His son's going to be a really talented runner for us. He's a freshman, so he gets to do it live right with him.
And you can mentor him there on having the kid on the team.
Been there, done that.
Well, they've had Westlake and Lockhart Invitational so far. And the girls are led by Alexandria Lajuarez and Eleanor Smith. Eleanor finished top 10 at Westlake, while Allie and Eleanor went 1-2 at Lockhart. So the girls are off to a great start. And over on the boys' side, Connor McLaughlin, returning for his junior year, already scored a top 10 finish in Lockhart. And we got two freshmen, as you mentioned, Tucker Jones, as well as Adrian Rangel. Connor also got himself a top 10 finish in Lockhart. So up next, they are going to host the Runnin' Rattler Invitational this weekend. 17 high schools, 26 middle schools in town for this huge event. So cross country, again, off and running. They're ready to go. Like you said, you're going to see them every morning. If you get up and go to work, they're out somewhere.
Them and Ban will be the first ones out.
Absolutely. They wake us all up. And so before we wrap up the segment, we want to talk some non-varsity football and share some love for that JV Rattler squad. 2 games in, they've enjoyed 2 big victories. First, a 38-6 win over Hutto, followed by a 70-0 blowout victory over Madison. Coach, it has got to feel great having this talented a group just waiting to make their way to Friday nights.
Yeah, and it's unique, obviously. I mean, everybody knows about them, and there's several of those guys should be playing varsity football, but they got to do it at the JV level. So we got to do a good job of preparing them like varsity players. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's unfortunately when you go on the road, they're so good that the clock's going to run. You're not going to get a full 4 quarters in. But when they're at Toyota Rattler Stadium, we're not running the clock, and we're going to get them 4 quarters, and they're entertaining and they're a lot of fun. And it's going to be in. The future is definitely bright for Rattler football.
Go out on a Thursday night and see a preview of Friday night lights to come for sure.
No doubt.
All right, we're going to head to break, but when we return, we're going to talk Meet the Rattler Night, and after that, we're going to preview the varsity Rattler football season. So for now, let's check in on the Rattler recap. Keep it here on Rattler Up.
Hey, San Marcos. September is National Suicide Prevention Month. We can all help prevent suicide. Free 24/7 help is available through 988 Lifeline. For additional mental health support information, read this week's Rattler Recap. Now let's run it back.
All right, welcome back to Rattler Up live from the Rattler Broadcast Studio at San Marcos High School. And in just a moment, we're going to look ahead to the varsity football season. But there is a special event we want everyone to know about, and that is tomorrow night. Every year we have the Meet the Rattler Night. This will be tomorrow night, Wednesday night at San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium. It begins at 6 p.m. And you're there. You can meet the team, hear performances from the Rattler Band, the Diamond Line, the Cheer Squad. Coach, why is this event such a great thing for the school and the community?
I just think it's, minus the pep rally, it's just everybody together. And we've grown it since year one. We'll have every athletic program out there, sub-varsity through the varsity, and then everybody in the fine arts that's in the Friday nights, like you said, the cheer, Diamond Line, and band, they're all performing. It's great just to get everybody out. It's, I get calls all the time for Rattler gear. Everybody's got their new Rattler gear in. It's going to be on. It's going to be out for sale, and really the parents just to come out and see their kids in jerseys for the first time, or just see the group as a unit and meet coaches, or coaches get introduced. You may hear about the volleyball team, but you don't know who coaches them, and they're all going to be out there. And it's only about an hour and 15 minutes, but it's a pretty fun hour and 15 minutes if you're into Rattler athletics.
Yeah, well, 2 things you mentioned there that people got to know about. First is that merchandise, right? We know this is going to be your first crack to get some new Rattler gear in the Rattler store. I saw it. I'm going to be picking up a couple of the fishing shirts myself. Maybe a bucket hat, so I'm gonna drop some money.
Sounds like that's gonna sell out first. I better go
that'll
get mine.
go quick. And I'm telling you, there's stuff that I wanted that I didn't get to because I didn't get on Meet the Rattler last year. So if you want some of that great new Rattler gear, you're gonna want to be there. But also, we talk about 500 people involved in a Friday Night Lights production. But then you start talking about every sub-varsity group. I mean, you got so many kids representing it, and they're representing the school. But we're in a unique situation. We refer to ourselves sometimes one horse town, right? The one high school for the whole community. they're representing the city of San Marcos.
Right.
And I think it's important whether you have a person on the team, have a kid on the team or whatever, you still come out because they're representing your town. And is that the way they kind of feel as they go out and represent?
Yeah, absolutely. We play, I told them the other day, just talking to the football team, because sometimes you work so hard, it's almost like a business. We're entertainment. I mean, whether you're in an entertainment business or the business world, you still got to work hard and prepare and do the things the right way, but we're going to have a good time doing it. And we want to entertain the fans that come out to watch us. Now, winning's entertaining, so the preparation they do is for the people in the stands and their parents.
Right. It's a fun time. So again, tomorrow night, Rattler Stadium, meet the Rattler Knights, 6 o'clock. Get your first look at some Rattler gear. Meet the players, the cheerleaders, the Diamond Line members, the band members, everyone else, and then be ready to return to Rattler Stadium on Friday night at 7:30 as the Rattlers are under the Friday Night Lights at home for the first time this season, taking on Wagner. And so let's take a look at that game and the rest of this exciting season, Coach. So far this season, we've had 2 non-district games in preparation for that race to the playoffs, taking on Hutto and Madison. Now, we've been putting some points on the board, 35 and 28 respectively, and now we're looking to dial in that talented defense just a little bit more, Coach. As we take a look at some highlights from the Madison game coming up here, some players are playing hurt these first 2 games. We know that's been an issue, so tell us about them. And just tell us about the overall psyche for the team over weeks 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm quite glad you led into that because they've had 2 hard-fought games. Hutto's a real talented team. And then Madison, we were up 14 at the half and just didn't have a good second half. But the psyche of the team, I'm going to put it on 2 kids. We play a physical sport. And these 2 guys epitomize what I love about our football team this year. And I know we're going to be just fine. Logan Luna, see, the doctors these days gotten real smart. In my day, you hurt a finger, you just tape it up and you go to work, right? Well, now they want to do surgery on it and you're out for 8 weeks. So we thought Logan was going to be out with because he has multiple breaks in his finger. And so he refused surgery, taping it up and playing through it to the season. He said he'll fix it later. Kai Ogunbashi, we lost him to a knee injury last year, first game. Same thing in practice this year. He's a senior. But between his mom and the doctor, same thing. She said, we'll get you a knee brace, and if you can play through it, then we're going to let you play through it. We've got to fix it anyway. So we used them as an example about a week ago of what we want our football team to be about, and it's selfless, sacrifice, and you above the team. I mean, the team above you, and those guys epitomize that.
Well, and you see that, again, 2 losses those first 2 weeks, and yet we're feeling really good. We're feeling really positive as we move forward. That's what we want to look at here. So, Coach, coming up this week, we've got Wagner at home, first time at the Friday Night Lights Stadium. And also, Coach, your first time back at the helm and the sidelines. You've had 2 weeks off, and I've got to believe that you are ready to get back on that headset.
It's really 5 weeks off because I'm not forgetting the 3 last year. So, yeah, I mean, it's been not a fun 5 weeks for me, but watching the program work without has been good, but I'm glad to be on the sidelines. I'm excited about being a home opener. We're seeing a tough opponent, Wagner. Just to give you kind of a comparison, we held. Wagner's defense held Liberty Hill to 17 points, and then Liberty Hill put 80 on Hutto.
Jeez.
So it's kind of like you can kind of do some comparisons. So good defense, and they run the double slot wishbone. Option football, so man, it's they're going to be a challenge, but we're up for the challenge. We've had 2 really good days of practice.
Well, and one cool thing is we got a brand new turf to show off, right? So bond package, part of that was making sure that turf got updated. It went in it was seemingly under the gun. I was watching it go in we made kind of watching the clock, but
we made it right in time. As a matter of fact, we made the week before we made it, or actually 2 days it got released to me before, but it got released. And man, it is state of the art. We've done the voters, man. They passed it, and we got a new product out there. We got Alito was one of the first ones to get it. It rolls out with less seams. The numbers are already in the turf and not embedded in the turf, so there's less seams coming up. And we haven't explored a feature we put in it that's new, and us and College Station and Alito are the first to put it in. They got a coconut coolant agent in it, and when it rains, it's supposed to really bring the coolant in. So I actually toured the turfs, and checked it versus other styles. And when you wet the turf, you can feel the coolant agent. We haven't wet it yet, but there's no rain coming, but I'm about ready to get the fire department out there and lay some water down on it. Yeah, no doubt.
These are those times of year where even on a Friday night,
Oh, it's
still
hot.
100.
No,
it's still
hot.
99. So yeah, we
No doubt.
cool that turf. Turn the hose on the fans a little bit. Let them get some relaxation as well. Don't let the heat take you away from coming out on a Friday night.
No doubt.
But know that the players are going to be taken care of. Thank you, voters, for making sure that we continue to have state-of-the-art facilities here. So we're going to host Wagner this week. We'll host Laredo Alexander the next week, and then we'll make that long trip to Eagle Pass to finish out that non-district portion of the schedule. Now, we talked about it a little bit last season. There's pros and cons to being in a smaller district. One of the pros is, and it could be a con, but that's what I want to ask you about, is a lot more non-district games in that schedule. So talk to us about what is good and bad about having so many games prior to your district schedule.
Well, I think you got time to figure your team out. Like now, I'm coming to the sideline. We're 0-2, and I got some learning to do. Because I haven't been on a Friday night with them and just to see how they operate in adversity. And so we still have 3 games left to figure out who we are before district starts, and that's what we're going to take as a positive to having a bigger non-district game.
Right. And so when we look back at last year, we kind of see we've played all 3 of these, Wagner, Laredo, Eagle Pass, once before. Mm-hmm. So is there an advantage to having that second time around? We're just swapping home and aways now for all 3 opponents.
Yeah, I think now coaches gets a little. As a coach, you feel a little more ownership into the win or loss, because if you are good at your job, you've already seen them once.
Right.
So you should know their tendencies. You should know the schemes. And I think our opponents will say the same thing. But so one, we don't want to we've seen each other. Don't get out coached. Put your kids in the right spots.
Right. And so at least 2 of those are going to be back home. So that the standard change now is the home field advantage, and
right.
having those people yelling and screaming and rocking at Rattler Stadium. So we got to have you be a part of that back out home. You got to be out here on Friday nights. So from there, it is the race to the playoffs, and it's district schedule time, and the opponents are the same. We just swapped locations. This year we'll travel to Clemens, Steele, and New Braunfels with the opportunity to host Judson and East Central. So let's look at them one at a time. That first test is out on Clemens' home field now. What is crucial about setting the tone in that first district game?
Yeah, just like we did last year. You asked about the volleyball team about gaining momentum. We hope we have momentum going into it. Last year we knocked them off at our place. It's going to be harder at third place. Obviously, you're on the road, but that first win kind of sets you up, for that district race. So you definitely want to be 1-0 coming out of it. Absolutely.
Now, of course, from there we head to Steele. Now, Coach, Steele's going to be the powerhouse they always are. So what kind of attitude do you take when you go into a game against a big-time squad like that?
Yeah, I've been able to see everybody on film, that we're fixing to talk about, and there's no question of the 6 teams, Steele is the cream of the crop. They got a lot of talent back, and you're a definite underdog going into them, and when you got nothing to lose, you got a shot still.
Right. Now, of course, our first home game for the district is a big one for all the documented reasons. We want this Judson Rocket team, and we got them in our place. This is the one that got away from us late last year.
Right.
Talk to us about, there is a mental aspect, players, coaches, community. We know full well the story behind all this, but how do you try to maintain, hey, this is another football game, and it's a game we got to win?
Yeah, it won't be another football game, but it is a game we want to win. I think as a coach, you're looking for week in and week out reasons to get your team up, reasons
right.
to motivate your team, reasons to kind of poke them in the ribs. I won't have to do any of that. We're going to get to coach
Takes
football.
Care of itself, doesn't
we're going to get to coach football, and I think everybody's going to be ready on their own accord.
Absolutely. Well, we head up to New Braunfels then to face the Unicorns. And, Coach, this is the longest streak of games we've had against a single opponent in a long time. This will mark the 8th straight season that we've had New Braunfels on our schedule. So with all the UIL realignment we get caught up in, for those that don't know, we oftentimes every 2 years end up as the southernmost school of an Austin district, and then we become the northernmost school in a San Antonio district. It's been hard to develop rivalries. It's been hard to have consistency. How important is it to know that we have these opponents like New Braunfels and upcoming East Central that we have played year after year
right.
and have developed a history with?
Rivals are important. I mean, that's Texas high school sports in general. You'd like to have someone that you see all the time where you can build a rivalry. And with New Braunfels, they're a well-run program, and I've been really impressed with how they run their program, and we've had some really tight. It's been a last possession game with them every time, and it's been a lot of fun, and I hope we stay with them. We're too close not to play.
Yeah, that's a game we gotta schedule every year. They're right there. It's perfect. It's all the makings of a rivalry right there on the highway, 10 minutes away. So we finish up the district season at home on November 3rd against East Central. Now, a lot can happen between now and then. So, Coach, what is the message to your team to keep that focus all season long? Across the ups and downs, we know that you'll have individual messages per game, But to get to November 3rd and to have something on the line or be where we want to be against East Central to wrap up the season, what's that consistent message that you're preaching to your team this year?
Yeah, and it's kind of cliche, but it's got to be the here and now. You have to take care of each week, no matter where you are in the season or what you're playing for in the season. To do the Friday nights right, you make it about that Friday night, and nothing past it matters. Today was about Tuesday's practice, and that's it, to make sure Friday night we got a good product on the field.
All right, well, it's going to be exciting. So, again, coming up this Friday is your first chance. So, meet the Rattlers tomorrow night. Come out to Friday Night Lights, see the turf for the first time, see us take on Wagner, and be a part. You're going to want to be there from the beginning when this takes off to where we know it's headed this year. So we're excited about that, and we want you to be a part of it. Well, that's going to do it for this first episode of Season 3 of Rattler Up. We're proud to bring you all the action from Rattler Nation, let you know everything that's going on in our athletics programs, and we are glad to do it here in this incredible Rattler broadcast studio here at San Marcos High School campus. So before we go, let's take a look at the upcoming week in sports. As we mentioned, volleyball is in action right now in San Antonio against Veterans Memorial. The tennis team is also in action, taking on Clemens. This weekend, the cross-country team will host the Running Rattler Invitational. And, of course, this Friday night, 7:30 kickoff, the home football opener, as the Rattlers take on the Wagner Thunderbirds. So, Coach, before we let you go, obviously we like to talk some other football. All football's in season as of this weekend. So, I guess for the college world, people watching Rattler Up, Texas State, what they said they're taking back Texas. Are they for real? What are your thoughts on that?
They sure look for real. I mean, it wasn't like a good quarter or a good second quarter. It was a good start to finish every phase ball game, and GJ and staff, man, had their stuff together. And of course, it's a long season, but I know they got San Marcos fired up, and if they go knock off UTSA, it'll be. I think that stadium will be sold out against Jackson State.
Oh, and when they said so, for years. Since they've gotten into D1, they've had first halves that gave some teams some scares. They gave A&M a scare a couple times. But then in that second half, the depth of a more developed D1 college just starts to show. And it was interesting to watch. There was no drop-off in the second half against Baylor. Yeah. We're as deep as we've ever been.
And I think the key is to separate the big dogs from the guys that think they want to be there is – Finley looked great at quarterback, right? And we had some flashy plays, but our trenches, they were on point. I mean, our defensive line was putting pressure all day on that quarterback.
Even deep into the fourth.
So it's I'm excited. I've always said, because Texas State's been good at a lot of things, and if they ever got that football program going, this town will get excited.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, NFL season starts up this week as well. Have you determined exactly how the Cowboys will break our hearts this year? I'm not going to ask you if we've been Cowboys fans long enough to know. Is it going to be a miss the playoffs altogether? Is it going to be an NFC title game, overtime loss? What are you picturing here?
Man, I'm just trying to be. If you know me, I'm a positive guy. So let's just try to be positive and let's just wait till that happens like it has. But I hope they get it together. Really getting Trey Lance as a big time backup quarterback, just in case we do need him, was kind of reassuring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be great, given some of the histories we've seen with Dak.
Right.
I think that'll be huge. So I'll try to borrow your positivity, Coach. I'm gonna try to do it. I'm gonna try to be a happy Cowboys fan. At least for the first 2 weeks.
Just at the beginning.
And just at the start. Well, at this point in the show, we usually love to thank the people that helped make this happen. They've been doing it for 3 seasons. Once again, Jack Moore, the teacher here at the Digital Communications Department, has been doing a great job guiding these incredible students, producers that are behind the scenes, pushing the buttons, keeping the lights hot, and making us look as good as they can out here on camera. So thanks to Jack and those students on his team. And you've heard us thank Josh each week since the beginning back at Hays County Barbecue. Well, we liked him so much we hired him. And so Josh is with us now. And thanks for all you're doing with our digital media students as a part of that CTE program here at San Marcos High School as well. Well, that'll do it for us this week here on Rattler Nation. So for Coach Walsh, I'm CJ Odam. Thanks for watching Rattler Up.